Welcome to Live in Gratitude Daily on Global Voice Radio, a show which inspires, motivates, and transforms through sharing real-life stories of gratitude. Here's your host, Denise Joy. I want to say hello to all of our listeners of Live in Gratitude Daily on Global Voice Radio. I'm your host, Denise Joy Thompson, and this show is actually based on the anthology, a 365-page or day journal to help our listeners and our readers to have a Live in Gratitude Daily lifestyle. And I am blessed today, and I am very grateful to have a friend and colleague, Hannah Edwards, with me today. Well, Hannah, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to spend time with me and to share with our listeners our thoughts about gratitude. So thank you very much for joining me. I'm in Texas with the heat, and you currently are in England with the heat.
Hello.
Yeah, so we were just talking a little bit about how, the heat affects people when they're not used to it. And but anyway, thank you very much for being with me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
So before we get started, I want to read a quote, and it's one of the quotes that I have included in Live in Gratitude Daily. And gratitude builds the foundation, brick by brick, to house abundance, joy, and love. So one of the things that I had found when I was doing research on gratitude, and it was in 2016 that I had the idea, that I had the wish or dream to do a book on gratitude. And I wanted to include many people who also would share their thoughts on gratitude. So the first edition of Live in Gratitude Daily came out the end of 2016.
Wow.
What was interesting is I researched more about gratitude. Gratitude is the foundation for us having a life of abundance, joy, and love. It wasn't the fact that love was the foundation, or that abundance, or joy, or other emotions, or ways of being. The research showed that the gratitude that we have for ourselves, for others, for things, events, anything in our life, is from what other things come into our life.
Absolutely.
And,
I like that point.
Yeah, and I think sometimes that people they're not taught that. Even though if you look at the different religions, their books, their guides, it's in there that gratitude is the foundation. And so I have started to live my life differently because of what I've learned, because of talking to people about gratitude. So, Hannah, tell me a little bit about, when did you have an understanding of gratitude, or when did you begin to realize how important gratitude was to you in your life?
For me, I think, although I've not been one of those people that I want to consider spoiled in a way where they just expect that everything comes to them. I've worked for as long as I can remember, so I've had to put the effort in, and quite recently I think it's more where I've surrounded myself with different people that have all these different attitudes and different thoughts on it, that it's actually made me a bit more open to all the different interpretations that you can get, because obviously there's being thankful for stuff, and then there's being gracious for stuff, which for me is on two completely different levels. And thankful for things every day, but having gratitude for different bits and pieces recently has come into it more with my health and stuff. It's made me more grateful for what I actually have now.
So, you brought up a good point in regards to gratitude for one's health. And so let's talk about that a little bit, because I think there's different aspects of our life that we can be grateful for.
Absolutely.
And everyone has a different level of health. So can you share a little bit about what you now know or what you have developed in regards to gratitude for your health?
So a few years ago, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, which doesn't seem like anything massive at first, but when I think back to being like 11 and 12, and I was dancing in competitions and competing, and like every weekend having some sort of lesson or like rehearsal ready for another show. And then I was netball at school, and I started injuring my knee, and I didn't really think much about it. Ended up having to give up every kind of sport possible, like to the point that even regular PE lessons at school, the regular physical education, I wasn't able to do. And I found out in 2015 that it was literally because of the fibromyalgia that the specialist had turned on and said to me was probably something that I've had for a long time, but it used to be uncommon in people my age. So people now more and more are being diagnosed with it. And I have a new perspective on it all, purely for the fact that I'm still at the stage where I can walk with mine. Yes, every now and then I'm stuck. All my plans for the day go out the window, as you very well know, with the many messages I send you going, wow, there's that day wasted, because I've ended up spending the day in bed from being exhausted. But I've got friends of mine that have it and they're not able to work. They're not able to get out of bed some days. And it's opened my eyes to a whole new perspective on the fact that, well, I can still walk. I can still spend most of my days out of bed. Granted, on my days off, those days out of bed are shorter because I'm spending the mornings in bed recovering from the week that I've had. But it's really given me a new perspective on, well, while I can get out there and still do stuff, I'm going to be grateful for what I have. I still have the ability to take a walk to the shops, and in this heat, definitely at the moment, it's making me feel a lot more worse. Yeah. But I'm still grateful for the fact that I can get out and just go to the shop. I haven't got to wait for someone to come with me.
Well, and I think, Hannah, you described sort of the journey with your health that oftentimes other people have too. Now, not everyone who has a disease or has a medical, physical condition that limits them physically gets to the point where they see what they do have. I mean, that is the goal. And you recognizing that and recognizing that other people have it worse doesn't mean to discount what we're dealing with, right? We don't want to have people say, well, you don't have, look, you can walk, you can do all this, so you just need to not even worry about your condition. Yeah. But we want to take care of ourselves. We want to acknowledge we have a condition so other people know why we might not be doing certain things. But like you said, you realize I'm going to make sure that I can do everything that I can when my body allows me, when the pain doesn't overtake me, and live my life to the best that I can and be grateful for that. And, I know I see what you do, in your business. And you spend, even though you and I might talk, you might say, hey, I need a few hours to rest. You are right back at it after resting. And then you are working your business. You get things done. You get your Empowered Business magazine out. And so you have a balance, right? You recognize when you need to take care of yourself, and then you're right back at it as the business owner doing what you need to do.
I mean, don't get me wrong. When I was first diagnosed with that, I was just like, yeah, whatever. Like, it's not going to stop me. It's not this and anything else. And then I'd be in bed for weekends at a time because I was ignoring those signs. I was ignoring the screaming, throbbing, burning sensation in my knees because I've just gone and not only walked around my town centre shopping with my friends, I've walked into town, I've walked home from town. I've then gone and decided to like blast the housework and everything. And at the time I was living on top of a hill as well. So I was walking up that hill instead of busing up.
Right.
And I think the thing that makes me more acceptable of it is the fact that because of the day job I do with people that have learning disabilities, for me it's a case of I work with people that can't do things that I can do now. So if I didn't have that job, I don't think I would be so grateful for it. I'd be like, well, hang on a second, I used to do this, and this. Now what am I left with? But I see people that are unable to do things for themselves. They have to have 24/7 care because of the situation they're in. So I think whilst I'm still able to leave my house without someone else coming with me because I have the understanding of different bits and pieces and how the world is, it's certainly the gratefulness has only come with the experience of the job that I've had recently.
You know, and I think it can be common also when we see the suffering of others or we see the inability of others to do things that we may at one point have taken for granted.
I mean, absolutely.
And if we're open to learning from that, and not everyone is, but I think that when we're open to see, right, we sort of take the glasses off, we take the blinders off, and see the world from a different perspective.
Yeah.
We can be grateful for what we have. That doesn't mean that we don't want other things to come into our life. Dreaming and wanting and wishing, all of those are okay for anybody to have in their life, along with being grateful for the simplest things that we may have. You know, you and I were having a discussion earlier, and, you know, being in England where you live, you said, they asked about air conditioning, and you had said, well, you normally don't have this type of a heat.
No.
So it's not common for all of you. Now, most of the places I've lived in the U.S., we have air conditioning. So I've not lived in the far north of the U.S.
Yeah.
And, you know, earlier today I was being grateful for my air conditioning. I had to be, you know, out in the yard because I'm having my roof redone. But it made me think about when I was deployed to Iraq and Kuwait, it would get to be 130. And, you know, we're in full uniform. And so, you know, sometimes I have to remind myself, it's like, wait a minute. Okay, so it's, you know, 90 to 100 outside, but I have air conditioning. I'm not in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
You know, in a war-torn country. So I'm going to be pretty grateful for what I have in this moment.
Absolutely.
And not feel
I'm grateful for the sunshine, don't get me wrong, because I'm not getting absolutely soaked when I'm going out and about at the moment. But because obviously normally it is rain or absolutely freezing cold. But for me, with the condition I have, the weather can make it go either way. So again, it's one of those things of find the balance of, okay, well, I'm not getting freezing cold and then having to get changed when I get anywhere. So I'm not going to be cold in my joints for the rest of the day. But it's I now can't be out for a long time, and the heat messes with my medication. Like the medication I've had to take today, along with the heat on it, it's actually made me really itchy. So I'm sat here like trying not to scratch when I'm talking to you. And it's one of those things of, again, I've seen people in that whole worse position than I am. So whilst I can have my medication for my condition, I can't really be like all spoiled about the fact of, oh, woe is me kind of thing. I've managed to turn it around that my condition has become my fuel for my business is. So I will sit there and think, well, whilst I've got the ability to do it all now, I'm going to get it all set up and running so that then when my condition gets worse and I need to take those days where it's the entire day spent in bed as opposed to just the morning or part of the afternoon, because I'm not going to lie, I've had to get to that point where I nap in the afternoon every now and then. And I want to get to that point where I can sit there and go, okay, well, I'm grateful for having had the ability to set my businesses up so that I can say to clients or anyone that I'm working with at the time, I'll get the stuff done tomorrow. Today is a staying in bed and just sleeping through the day kind of day.
Well, and like you said, when we can be grateful for the opposites of what we normally have. You know,
Yeah.
the sun is out, so you can enjoy the fact the sun is out, because, you know, living in England, yes, oftentimes it is cold and rainy and a little dreary. And so we can welcome the change and then, you know, adjust how we have to. And, you know, Hannah, you mentioned your businesses. So when I introduced you, I didn't say much about your businesses, but talk about your businesses, because I see you as you are creating and growing your businesses. I see the fact that you do have gratitude and that you do feel blessed in those things that you're doing. So share a little bit about your businesses with our listeners.
So I have the magazine, which you mentioned, and I literally set that up because the other business that I have, I was actually trying to research different bits and pieces to, you know, when you're in that starter stage and you got pieces of paper all around you covered in conflicting ideas of how to do all these different businesses. And every magazine that I was seeing was all stories of, wow, like mummy and daddy gave me X amount of money, or I had a lottery win, or I got the inheritance. And it was all people that started their businesses with like several £1,000s. And I don't have that. I don't have that spare at all. I work the day job to pay the bills whilst I build up the businesses. And then every magazine was just showing all these different bits. There was no stories of people like myself or the people that I was seeing in the groups that I'm members of, all those hardworking, like the mums that want to be able to take their children to school in the morning, or the people who, like myself, have an illness, or my partner has epilepsy. So I want to be able to be at home more to be around for him as well. And there was none of that, none of the hard-working side of things. And it just didn't seem to fit anything that I wanted. And part of me when I was younger, I don't know whether it's the whole watching of The Devil Wears Prada and stuff like that. I always wanted a magazine when I was younger. So I have literally lost count on how many times I've watched that movie thinking, yeah, I'm going to have a magazine. And it was never about fashion for me or like family type stuff when I was growing up. It was all, I'm going to have a business. If I ever have a magazine, it'll be a business magazine. So that's what I ended up starting. I posted in a group, and I posted in several groups. All these people were like, that's the type of magazine we've been looking for. I was just like, great, I'll start it. I took a break from it for a while I was moving, relaunched back in January, and we've hit triple figures, and we're doing a lot better now than we were originally. So I'm literally, that's another thing that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful to have had the time to be able to take that step back and say, it probably wasn't the right time to do the magazine, so I'm gonna stop and bring it back again when I'm in a better position. My other business is a virtual assistant business where I help mainly mums who want to be able to spend time with their families. I do work with other people as well, but my main clients are mums that have their businesses that don't necessarily want to do their social media, or their, it's not that they don't want to do it, but it's either something that they don't enjoy doing, or it's time consuming and they want to be watching their children grow up. So I take on those tasks and I end up helping them.
So Hannah, talk a little bit about the gratitude that you have specifically for your businesses. And the other thing I wanted to comment on was you had said, you had started and you had to put it on hold and restart. And I think that that is very normal for someone who is starting a business. And I think the fact that you didn't just give up, but you knew you wanted to do it, and you did it. But talk a little bit about your gratitude for the businesses and what have they done for your life? Not the fact that you're building them to create money and profit, but what has it done for you personally in regards to building your business?
So it's actually made me learn a lot more about myself. I know, like, that sounds like the cheesiest thing ever when people say, oh, it's made me grow. It's actually, it has for me, because I've always been kind of set in my ways of, well, if this doesn't work out, I'm never it's obviously not gonna work. But for me, the magazine was something I knew was gonna be a definite part of my future. I reevaluate my businesses every month, and never once have I got to a month where I've gone, okay, so I'm not having the magazine. So being able to take that time, I've always been the type of person where if I didn't succeed at something, it was a massive failure. Now having the businesses has made it so that actually it's not a failure, it's just a long way round of getting to where I want to get to. So I've been able to watch myself grow while doing it. I've been able to suddenly think, well, actually, I am okay to ask for what I want, to tell people this is what I want to do. I am one of the only few people in my friend group that is business orientated. They're all have families, get married, do this, that, and everything else. Don't get me wrong, marriage I would love to do, but babies is a no-go for me. So my businesses are my babies, watching them grow, celebrating. I'm the type of person that knows exactly where I'm planning on being in 5 years' time with my businesses, whereas all my friends are like, well, in 5 years' time, we'll have this amount of kids and we'll just see where things take us. And I'm just like, no, in 5 years' time, this business is going to be at this point, this business is going to be at this point. And I think it's about being able to prove not only to myself that I can get stuff done and that I can succeed, but to all of the people that didn't necessarily doubt that I could do it. But there's a stigma around council estates in England and people being from council estates. And I am from a council estate. I don't always talk like I'm from one because I was brought up being able to pronounce my T's properly. And so a lot of people, when I turn around and tell them where I grew up, would look at me as if say, well, no, you weren't, but that obviously means you're not going to do this. If I tell them I went to one of the secondary schools that I went into, they're like, oh, well, then you're either going to end up in jail or doing other bits and pieces. And I'm like, no, just watch me, because when you come back to me, like in a few years' time, and I'm not in jail and I am hugely successful, like, don't be too shocked, because I've been telling you for years I'm going to do this.
Well, and I think, Hannah, from knowing you, I truly believe that you are sort of growing into yourself, right? That you are learning more about yourself.
Definitely.
That hopefully all business owners will go through that process, because there's a lot of what goes into, building a business. And it can be very scary at times. It can be very uncertain. And we're tested, as individuals, as people.
Absolutely.
In regards to how our business is going. And, for me, when I look at what am I grateful for, even though it may be difficult, the lessons I learned, the growth that I have as an individual, the knowledge that I get through things, right? That something happens. And your show on Global Voice Radio is the roller coaster ride of business. And as we're on that roller coaster, and I experience that in business owner, it's like, okay, let's be grateful for the ups, and then we're grateful for the downs. What do we learn? What do we gain? What do we have to do different? It's all part of the journey. And for me, I guess I'm grateful for the life I have right now.
Definitely.
Because I don't know what the alternative is, right? I can't be grateful for what I don't have, per se, because this is my life now. This is my path.
Yeah.
So I try to celebrate and be grateful. You know, and you and I were private messaging about, you know, doing our recording and, you know, talking about technology. And I'm very grateful when technology works. And then when it doesn't, it's like, okay, I'm grateful because this is an opportunity that I get to work on something else.
Absolutely. I mean, all of my businesses are basically technology based, because without my computer, I can't record my show or work on the magazine or do any client work. So on a day that, like, say my internet is running slow, I do get to the point where I'm like, fantastic, that I can take that time out, because I've started learning, like, that I do need to take the time out to avoid the burnout, to be able to see my friends. I mean, this weekend I've got my goddaughter and my best friend coming down from up north to spend some time here. And, like, even technology wise for that, without my smartphone, I wouldn't be able to receive the photos of my goddaughter growing up and stuff. And it's one of those things where I don't think I'd have coped back in the 1900s where we didn't have any of this.
Well, Hannah, I'm a few years older than you, and it wasn't that long ago, right? When I grew up, and it was not the 1900s, you know, it was the 19, whatever it was when I was growing up. So it is interesting, right? Because you being, you know, way younger than I am, you've had a lot of this technology all of your life. And,
Definitely.
but now that I'm used to it, I agree. It is difficult when, and I've had, you know, several phones just quit. And, you know, especially if you use your insurance or you're waiting for the company to send you another phone, you don't have the phone for possibly up to a week or two. And unless you just go buy one right away. So it is interesting how attached we all have become, at least those of us who didn't have this technology growing up, and now it's a daily minute by minute, we're attached to technology. And I'm definitely grateful for that, right? I mean, I enjoy the technology, especially when it works, and how it helps me in my business, but helps me to connect with you, with other women and men all over the world.
Absolutely.
So, very grateful for that ability and the capability to do that.
Definitely. I mean, like I said, like, without being able to have my phone, I wouldn't have been able to even just find out that, like, how my goddaughter's been doing at school. My friend was literally able to snap a photo of her school report and send it to me over Messenger. And I just sit there and I'm like, see, if I didn't have this technology, all my plans for the future would literally be blown out of the water, because I wouldn't have a magazine, I wouldn't have my virtual assistant business, I wouldn't have my show, I wouldn't be able to see how things are going with, like, family and friends, because with the hours that I work and the job that I do on top of all of that, it is mainly text messages and, like, snapshot videos or photos through my phone that I'm able to communicate with everyone.
So in some ways, it's amazing the things that we have in our life. And one of the things that I highly recommend that our listeners, our readers, is that they really look at the everyday things that we have and to take a moment and be grateful for them. When the first edition came out, I actually had a group, a 30-day Live in Gratitude Daily Jumpstart. And every day we talked about a different aspect of how to be grateful. And I thought one of the most fun exercises, and it's a little silly, but is the fact that we can be thankful for the inanimate objects in our house.
Oh, yeah.
We can be thankful that we have a refrigerator.
I was just about to say my kettle, because I'm a tea addict, so I'm quite thankful that I can quite easily just go and make a cup of tea.
Yes, we're thankful for our computers, our favorite chair, our favorite blanket, whatever it is that we have in our house on a daily basis. How often do we just take a moment and to be grateful? I think oftentimes we take those things for granted.
Definitely.
But we also know when they don't work, then all of a sudden they're in the forefront of our mind. But some of those things could sort of be acknowledged when we're using them on a daily basis.
Definitely. I mean, I'm just even thankful for having the roof over my head, let alone everything that's in it, because in the UK we've got quite a high homeless rate at the moment. And when you think about all the other countries that don't have the running water facilities or anything like that we do, the fact that I can literally just go to my kitchen and turn on a tap and get a glass of water, especially in this heat, is something that I don't think I'll ever stop being grateful for. When you think of the people that, we're constantly blasted with adverts over here from WaterAid who are asking for a monthly donation because of the people that don't have it. And we're in 2018. I literally just had to look at my clock then to make sure I'm still in 2018, to find that there are still countries that don't have clean running water. And that baffles me, how we've got this far with countries still having that.
Right. Well, and the countries that have it, and living in the UK and being close to Europe, here in the United States, Canada, we can't just go into those countries and help them.
No.
All of their infrastructure, because we're not supposed to take over the world. But then it is difficult to see the fact that the countries aren't capable of doing it themselves, and some countries deliberately don't do that. And so I agree with you, and we're not going to get political, but I agree. And having been deployed and having lived in conditions that didn't have running water close to me, right? We had water, but I didn't have running water. Or you had to, walk several places, several yards away, whatever the distance was, to have the running water for your shower and your toilet and things like that.
Yeah.
So yes, definitely some of the simplicities of life, of being grateful for, because we know others don't have it.
This is it. I think people, especially the children that are growing up nowadays, I don't think with the way, because obviously they use technology completely different to how we did. I saw a post on Instagram. There's a gentleman on there. His thing is literally called Humans of NY, and he goes around and he photographs people and he takes their stories and posts it up. And there was literally a dad on there talking about the fact that he'd tried holding off for as long as possible before buying his son computer games and a mobile phone and stuff. But then he'd got to the point where his son was then behind his friends and things. None of his friends were wanting to go out and play because they all had their computer games. Just so that his son could still have the interaction with his friends, he gave in and bought them. But now his son doesn't go outside. And I'm like, these children are growing up in a computer technology state, to the point that their friend interaction is on a screen in front of them.
Right.
Some of the schools over here now have given their students laptops to do their work on in the class. Mine was exercise book and pens. It it wasn't until I started getting into the older part of my school where I was even able to hand in typed up like schoolwork, but it still wasn't on a laptop provided to me by my school.
Right. So, in some ways, and it's interesting when we look at our own lives and what were we exposed to, And, I was born and grew up before a lot of the technology of today. And so my life was different. And I can be grateful for knowing what it was before the technology and knowing what it is now. And, even when I would talk to my grandparents and listen to how they grew up and then what they, over their lifetime, saw. And so in some ways, I think at times it's like I can be grateful for everything that has come into my life, everything that I have experienced, regardless if it was what I wanted or not.
Yeah.
Be grateful for the fact that that was part of my journey, and it is my journey. Really.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what's going to come in or go out tomorrow.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm grateful for all of the choices I made. They may not have always been the best of choices, but I'm grateful for the fact that I've been freely able to make those choices. I don't live in a country where being a woman has been to the point that I can't even make my own choice. And I'm grateful to the fact that I've been freely able to make those choices, right or wrong, to get me to where I am today.
Well, Hannah, I want to thank you for joining me today and sharing your thoughts about gratitude, sharing your experiences. And I want to thank our listeners for joining us for another episode of Live in Gratitude Daily on Global Voice Radio. And if you have not yet joined our Facebook group, please find us and join us, Global Voice Radio. And you can listen to not only my show, but all of the hosts who are featured on Global Voice Radio. So Hannah, thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to Live in Gratitude Daily with Denise Joy. Join us every Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern on Global Voice Radio.